You want to do that now? Okay, so I would just like you to see a geyser.
Do you want me to tell you about it?
Mm-hmm.
See, you guys are. I see a Yellowstone style geyser with blue sky behind it. See this fountain of water coming up. It looks like a feather. Looks like a white feather, and then it goes down a bit, then it comes back up with another surge of energy and slightly different shape each time. And I feel captivated by that, leaning forward a bit, enjoying really seeing the details, the ever changing details in it. And I just feel this upwelling of energy, and then those contractions when it has this burst of energy and pressure, and then it subsides a bit, but then it goes back up again. Kind of feel that in myself, like enjoying that real honing in energy of attentively seeing, and then getting a little breather for a moment when the geyser subsides. Yeah, I see that, and then I see there's that main thrust of the energy where there's a lot of water going up, but then there's also the mist and steam that's a different kind of motion. It's the main geysers that up and down, and then the steam is just kind of trailing off and dissipating. And when I see that steam, I notice that's a more continual energy somehow. It's not this kind of pulsating so much as this more continuous sheet of water droplets trailing off and dissipating. And when I see that, I just take a deeper breath um, into myself. I feel more of the width of myself. The other one is definitely this up and down energy, and the steam aspect of it is this more steady, wider uh, sense of myself when I look at that. Yeah, and then I notice the sound of the water splatting against the rock. I hear that sound of water splashing on that bare rock surrounding the geyser, and that has it's kind of a rhythmic pattern, but not a simple steady rhythm. Um, but somehow it seems like there's a logic in that rhythm, even though it's not a steady 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4. It's this splatter, splash, splash. It just seems like there's intelligence, there's a logic inside that rhythm that's happening that makes me want to attune to it and just let it in somehow and kind of synchronize with that complex geyser rhythm. Yeah, I could keep going, but that's what comes up.
So that's beautiful how you describe each different aspect of this phenomenon in a structuring way.
Mm.
And you recognize the different consequences of these different textures of energy. So they all count.
And then there's
Go ahead.
there's a different sensation just being with them simultaneously.
Mhm.
Also, they're not separate, of course. They're all happening. I can narrow my attention to one aspect at a time, but then just widening out again after honing in on those different facets of it and just allowing more spaciousness for all of them to be happening at once feels very rich and enlivening. They don't cancel each other out.
Exactly.
They're all still there.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're all part of one geyser, one phenomena that's happening.
I'm tempted to put this question to you, whether it's good or not. I'm not sure. To ask you, what does this do for your stance?
It it enlivens my stance and makes it more dynamic and fun and more of something that is unfolding. It's almost like it gives me a stance. Really. More and it just infuses that stance with different currents and different energies. Yeah, I just had an image of a child actually playing playing a game, like, some kinda outside game with a ball and just, like, dynamic movements, just responding to whatever's happening. Very lively and agile and responsive with a lot of different possibilities for movement and ways of being with it, a lot of versatility. And it's there's something solid about it too. There is this upright quality to it. The geysers, there are all kinds of geysers, but the one I'm seeing wasn't just oozing out and or going up, 6 inches. This is a towering, whatever, 50-foot, 60-foot geyser.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that is a perfect example of how these images give us standing galore, if I may, the way you bring it out. Hmm?
Hmm.
And so what happens, we all know too well, what happens when we are denying that?
Yeah.
You don't have to answer that. But I mean, but by describing so beautifully what it's like to have it, it makes it clear what it's like when we're missing our awareness of that capability.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm? How vacuous we are.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I've been able to spend some time in Yellowstone, just really being there. I didn't even care that there were thousands of people swarming all around. I put some music on headphones and just really dropped in. And yeah, it's so rich to be able to see that and tune into that energy of what's happening and know that it's coming up from within the earth, even though earth can just seem like this giant entity. It's really so dynamic with different forces and energies, different forms of vitality that are just can't even be held in. They need to come out. And I also got to stand where the lava was running down Kilauea volcano and then jetting off a cliff into the ocean, which is definitely the most powerful, enlivening thing I've ever seen and experienced. Was just that mix of elemental powers and the way they were all dancing together. It was definitely had a Shiva quality to it. That dance and that creativity and also that destructive power. Yeah. And it's not necessary to go there. We could sit right here and and do it, but there's something about having that quality of attention. You know, I could go outside here where it's very much more tame corner of the planet right here, but still there are so many energies coursing through 1 square foot of the forest, the way a spider web is shimmering in the slightest of breezes and happening. So doesn't need to be dramatic or big or far away. And we have it inside us, of course, as well. We can find those qualities right here. Help each other tap into them.
You've just provided beautiful demonstrations of why I speak of these images as being islands in consciousness that we can explore together. Because they are actual phenomena. They're not just ideas or just fantasies. They are structural energy fields that are clear every minuscule second of the way, as you make so clear, right? And they give us our continuity with vitality. And as more we overlook them, the more we lose our contact with vitality. Yeah. So, but this enables us to get a hold of ourselves so we know what we're made of and we can recompose our characters by seeing which images function more beneficially. And that's what we haven't known. And it's not a matter of pushing ourselves around at all. It's a matter of exploring and getting a feel for our capabilities. And then, like kids are delighted with the latest capability, right? Okay,
Hmm.
so this lets us become delighted with these suppressed capabilities within us that let us see around, over, and beyond the things that have been hanging us up. So we have to make that transformative possibility real to people, because our whole ways of thinking have not allowed us to realize that it's within our power to bring that to fore in our own consciousness and inspire each other to do likewise. And that's what's new about what I'm concentrating on us demonstrating.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to keep the focus on that new range of possibility that is not in sight for most people. But when they can realize that just by bringing new images into play that are already there, they're in us. We've just been overlooking them. But when we see that we can bring them into play, then and how beautiful the consequences are, the more we do that. That's what we want to convey to people, because that changes their expectations. So instead of feeling stuck in replays, they're excited about what's promising in them and sharing that promise, not just letting it go to hell, which is what we're doing now. We're just letting it go to hell.
Mm. Yeah, how that's striking me now is that we have access to certain powers uh, that we have lost touch with.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
I'm just realizing that I think every time I've done a nature image, it's been so rich and helps me get in touch with some dimension of vitality within myself.
There, do you
Yeah.
notice that each time you experience that, it's pertinent to your immediate need, right? It's not random. It's not irrelevant to what you needed to know in that moment, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It's an answer to an energy situation you were in that moment, right? So there's a wisdom, and an exactitude of wisdom in these images that far exceeds what our rational, logical, whatever minds you want to,
Mm-hmm.
way beyond what we ordinarily think about.
Yeah.
Because it goes deep and it goes to the right energy source. And then it's pure, and it comes up and it gives us a direct solution, that we can feel the difference in how we're handling whatever the situation is. So that's why I like to see these images as directional signals, because I think that is what their primary function is, to make us aware of the directions we're going and not going in and need to go in.
Mm.
They're not just random and going,
Mm.
And that's why I love them. We talk about getting to the point. There's a certain satisfaction in getting to the point. Well, these images are doing that all the time, so much better than we usually do in ordinary reality. And then they do it in a way where some other guy can understand something really complicated about us and about themselves all at
Mm-hmm.
once, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're brilliant. I mean, that's what's glorious. Those moments are, to me, that's the most glorious thing that can happen, is when two people are sharing a self and mutually illuminating. There's no greater experience.
Mm-hmm.
So we're way out of range of the mercilessness of ego-ended consciousness, and we're into mutual consciousness. And it's not confusing. It's not like our projections piling up on each other and causing bombs to go off. No, we're both giving each other new grasps of energy fields we didn't know we had in us, we didn't recognize, which we feel are taking us to some place new into a better, more coherent and favorable movement. It's not confusing. You know, it's going deep, keeps coming clearer. We keep coming clearer. Whereas most people think, oh, going deep. No, this is going deep, man. I'm having fun coming clearer. Yeah. And that is a gift beyond the gift, you know, and not a maybe gift, you know, a very powerful gift.
Mm,
I begun
but
to do the geyser image because right now I'm seeing a good old faithful geyser, and it's definitely impressive that the force of the upness and the straight upness. And then the way you see I love the way you call it like feathery. The way the outfall is like stepping down, kind of like a falls, you know, bouncing that bouncing down, and then forming that spreading pool. And right at the moment, I'm feeling a comforting feeling as I see how that pooling is. It comforts me that what was so results in this nice, comforting, spreading pooling. I think that I can sort of sense that when I was that kid, I was a little leery about these geysers. But right now, because when I thought of doing a fountainous image with you, I had been seeing fountains like the Buckingham Fountain. I loved it in Chicago, which is a big fountain, and the upness is up, but then there's just the falling waters, and then there's just this kind of luscious pond at the bottom of the Buckingham Fountain. So that was the fountain that I was used to seeing, and I wanted us to share because that, I believe, is the essential dynamic we want to open up to when we're concentrating on these images. But can you respond to it as a reciprocal vision?
to your
Yeah.
vision of the geyser?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, well, first I do see that pool spreading out underneath the geyser. And it's a sharp contrast with the motion of the geyser.
Mm-hmm.
Just this, like I see the front edge of that pool,
Mm-hmm.
like the wavy line of that pool as it's finding its way across the rock. And I feel curious. I feel captivated once again and surprised that there's yet another energy that's so different in this same geyser. It's like I'm still aware of the up and the geyser and the falling and the splashing at the center and the mist blowing, but it's like 90% of my energy now is on this spreading pool.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that front edge, and I feel kind of tickled, really.
Uh,
It just the way that advancing front edge of that pool has a exploratory logic,
mm-hmm,
and I really like something about how the edge of it's rounded.
mm-hmm.
I feel a particular kind of joy coming up in my chest and into my face, my arms. There's a warm quality to it. And then I see that pool. If I just stick with looking at that pool, now I see the reflection of this spreading pool. I see the reflection of trees and sky and the geyser, and that just uh, is showing me another whole different dimension of this. There's so many different dimensions to this one geyser.
So let me just ask you to ask your body, how do you feel about that expansive exposure to more and more of your whole picture?
Yeah.
What does that do for you?
It's really a relaxing into the reality of these different energies happening,
Mm-hmm,
and just relaxing, like softening my gaze and relaxing into all these different qualities happening at once.
mm-hmm.
And it feels wonderful. And I guess I feel like I've got a lot inwardly. If I feel inwardly what's happening here, I feel like I have a lot at my disposal.
A lot of newly recognized energy fields at your disposal. Yes?
Yeah,
That are recognizable constituents of your identity. Yes?
I have this sense I'm holding loosely of these different possibilities inside myself, physically.
Energies you have to go on.
Yeah, physically, mentally, emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and yeah, just seeing that reflected. It's reflected in that spreading pool. It's like everything's reflected in the pool, and the pool is another dimension in itself. So it's really it's about awareness in a way. It's just this different kind of awareness that I feel like this spreading out with reflecting the whole of these different energies and how they come together.
So let me ask you, how do you feel about the reciprocal vision aspect about what sharing this image with another person
Oh, it feels great.
does? What is it specifically just about the sharing of the reciprocal vision? Can you give a response to that? Maybe it's hard to say, be specific about that, but.
Well, it's definitely affirming,
Mhm.
because it's one thing to have experiences like this, as a just an individual experience, but something about being able to share it and know that it's being heard and not just heard and received, but you are really engaging with it with your imagination too. It's so satisfying
So it
to,
makes us, if I don't, yeah,
yeah,
okay, it makes us part of nature and part of each other.
yeah. That's the
So we get
spot.
out of being so alone,
Yeah.
huh? And here we have this in us and nobody knows it's there. And furthermore, people are scared of looking into it.
Hmm. There's that, and just you invited me back into it again, and
Mhm.
bringing in the I hadn't I hadn't gotten to the pool yet. Who knows if I would have gotten there on my own, but your imagination led you there, and then it invited me there, and I just love what it added and how it perfectly complemented the different experiences I was already having at that geyser. And then I really like that reflection. Uh, s- the reflection really wove it all together.
Yeah. So there
And
is that composing quality that these images have, that they give us that back to us. We've been around slicing and dicing, but that sense of a composite nature, composing and recomposing the constituent energy fields in
Mhm.
in successful and beneficent ways, giving us strength and coherence we don't have when we don't know we have it. So we have to recognize it. This gives us a straightforward, stepwise, progressively clarifying way of finding we have it.
Mhm.
Hmm? We can feel bigger and better ourselves, and other people around us can feel bigger and better because of seeing us feeling bigger and better.
Yeah.